All right, so I'm not going to say welcome to Reddit because I don't have an account, and I think it's a cesspool and one step up from 4chan, and it is, from what I gather in my recent foray, it's just a place where people hype up the drama, suck all the drama out of it in a frenzy, and leave a husk of mostly lies, but there are some truths to be gleaned, and I don't trust this guy at all. Who I do trust is Robert Teg, and I found out just yesterday that he did an expose, and I went and read it. It's interesting. I learned a couple things I didn't know about CCP, but mostly just confirming what I'd read on this article. I'll link it in the description. A long time ago, back in 2014, an expose by an ex-employee, and it was hard-hitting, and it felt so true. So this just confirmed a lot of what it said. And this cesspool, bottom-feeding, basically goon hagiographer who does it 4chan style, hating on dunes, but actually inflating the value of them and just being, the usual 4chan backing into a hagiography of something they hate. So the Foghorn Leghorn description of Hilmar, the CEO, the ex-CTO of Eve CCP, is on point. And the sweaty room meeting expose is just confirmed, and all the rest of it, really. Take of it what you will. The drama, just ignore all the drama and assume it's just irrelevant to what we're talking about, because it's 4chan and they just love drama and that's all they're interested in about, and they don't really focus on the interesting husk that they leave after they stampede elsewhere in their ADD focus on things. So what we're going to do is we're going to focus on the husk and the interesting things that it reveals that I didn't know about, that I'd like to focus on. And, well, things I didn't know about from yesterday. So I watched a 2-hour-long video. It was painful, but rewarding, by this guy. And I think, when was it made?
Well, a few sellers.
It was made a couple of months ago. And it's interesting, in that he basically says that cryptocurrency is basically a lottery. That's it. You are entering a casino. And it's a rigged casino because the owners of the biggest, collections of the bit mining, or should I say the biggest holders of the Bitcoin, whatever Bitcoin they have, there's countless, have the keys to the castle. And a fork is not a share split, which I first assumed. It's just them rolling back something that hurt them personally. And it is interesting how that informs a recent thing I found about, the $500 million from one of the when I read this, I was like, okay, well, it's one of them, right? No, it's the main pusher of NFT gaming, the main one, the big one, the big ticket one. Was there a fork done to protect them? I'm going to let you guess on that. I tried to look for it. I couldn't find them forking Ethereum. They forked it before, and the old fork is Ethereum Classic, lol, to protect the big ticket holders, and these guys aren't, so they just lost, and they didn't fork to protect them, lol. So yeah, this is confirmed basically from the exposés. interesting stuff. The two things I pulled out of it was that Jester talked about, Rick Bartek talked about how the focus of CCP was on either nullsec blocks and hardcore PvEers, the ones who spend their parents' CCs just to fill their basement with tons of, computer modders playing hardcore 50-person one-man mining alts, bots, basically. And they've got to be using the ISK boxer to input broadcast, right? But that aside, the abysmal merits of that aside, you look at the husk of it. Let's examine the husk. Okay, so we learned something new, but are they really focusing on it? It's like, where is the promised gold cauldron at the end of the rainbow 12 years ago when CCP released tie-dye, and they said tie-dye is just one part of it, the other part is a slow, long slog to fix the infrastructure. Has it happened? No. They frittered away their time and energy on other things. Because Hilmar. Because, because it's trendy. And Ripper Teg's right. He's definitely got the pulse of Hilmar and his yes men surrounding him. And their promises and lies, since release, it's been next patch is going to be great. And recently they tried the quadrant thing, which meant they had a grand plan. It wasn't next patch. It was, we have a long-term plan. And if you actually read the long-term plans, they're like, wait, these are not conflict drivers you're listing in this update to the economy. It's, you're comparing apples and oranges and saying ... profit, it doesn't match reality at all. What they claim to be fixing was like, that doesn't make sense. You can't do that and fix it by improving this. It's like, what? So it was just basically marketing lies, and they got tired of it at the end of it, and because they were coming up to FanFest and they want to go to play to earn, and so they dumped a whole bunch of shit on the wall in last November, and it was abysmal, and it just proved they had not planned anything since those 2 years. They just had milked it for the marketing. And yeah, sleazebag Rattati, yeah, it's just, well, can you blame that kind of person for rising to the cream, as cream to the top, in this Peter dish that Hilmar is leading, with his foghorn leghorn attitude, and the sweaty meetings. It just confirms everything here. And it's scary because I'll lead you through my thinking. Like I've redone this video to be more streamlined. So why is Hilmar? Why did Hilmar make that announcement just before FanFest about not doing NFTs and backing away from that? He made that announcement at least 2 weeks after this. And if he was trendy, he would have immediately made the announcement. Hey, look, we had no idea how vulnerable this system is. We've woken up to the fact. No, he is neck deep in Icelandic cheap energy bit mining operators who are, invested in the gambling, the casino of this scam platform of cryptocurrency and NFTs. And Hilmar, I think what happened is he's looking at this and drooling, thinking that he too can create his own blockchain service and force players to pay the transaction fee when they buy into this play to earn thing. And he has completely, and I don't think ever, focused on, I'll scroll up here, sorry, focused on the fun, the distraction, the socialization, the relaxation, the challenge, the achievement, basically all the Bartles types stuff that one purchases for entertainment in a game, especially Amok. It's all about, for Hilmar, it's all about value added and value retained. And as this excellent video talks about, it's 2 hours long. It's a painful slog, but he's funny. He's entertaining. Some of the quotes are just hilarious. But the basic thing is these indicators show that somebody is interested in speculative transactions, and that's what bit miners are. Gamblers. They don't mine in our sense of the term. They mine. They're playing a lottery to win that Tech2 BPO, to win that next Bitcoin that's being printed, or whatever, added to the end of the blockchain, or however it happens. But I know, I'm sure some pro NFT crypto will say, see, he doesn't understand it at all. If he understood it completely, he'd love it. But that's just their buzzwords. But yeah, it's interesting. It's fascinating. The terminology is used. That it's just, you have to use the terminology to explain their system, but you sort of have to play their game, and it's the buzzwords are just horrible, like smart contracts. No, it's just a packet you can fit a virus into, and that's exactly what I think the hackers did to Axie Infinity. They probably just put in a Trojan horse, and just somebody activated it from the blockchain smart contract, and blip, they got stolen. That's what I think happened. And Tezos, the examples this video uses are Axie Infinity and Tezos. He points to a graph with Tezos on it and explains that the reason they're green is that they're not big enough yet to impact the energy environment. And it's just, and this is why it's more flexible, and it's because it's cheaper. The transaction costs are cheaper. The turnaround time on transactions is faster. Yada yada, right? So yeah, it's a scam platform basically. It's horrible. But yeah, you have to believe that this is what he hasn't really watched the video yet. 100%, yeah, 100%, but yeah, he's basically drooling. He was forced to make that announcement, forced to back away. They have talking points. Just if you read the price increase announcement, that was Hilmar going from NFTs, play to earn, to, which is, trendy. Obviously, look at this. To looking at RuneScape, making that announcement just a month ago as well. happened probably around the same time as the NFT heist, about a 15% increase in June for RuneScape players, and they were the first to go above the $15 standard. I mean, Hilmar's saying, oh, production costs and developer costs, and so are RuneScape. And you're like, server costs have plummeted over the decades, and you're an old gaming company who hasn't added a lot of stuff to the game, and you should, because that's just maintaining, we're paying subscription costs. You're making a lot of money. You're making even more money, we know, off sales, but apparently you're not tracking it properly, or at least you're not showing the CSM the true numbers because, propriety information, you're going to obviously obfuscate that. But yeah, they make a lot more money from other things than subscriptions. But yeah, I mean, this is just, they want to be trendy. Silmar wants to be trendy. PA told him to stuff it. He's borrowed his talk. He just cut and pasted what he was going to talk about play to earn onto the value added need for future value, which is basically the talking points of crypto, of speculative. It's just speculative. It's like gambling that I can make it rich, preying. I think the video says cryptos prey on almost middle class, socially inept players. Just, it's like he said, the video guide said, basically, if you are on a list for crypto and you're into that, it's like a dream list of suckers for scam artists of all ilks. It's like, it's like these are people openly displaying their personal information. You can go and scam them because they're fools, basically. And that's basically what it is. And yeah, we don't want any part of that. PA doesn't want any part of that. They saw the writing on the wall. This is just a huge scam, and pray to God this is not the future, because there's no privacy. If future generations are forced to buy into this horrendous thing, it's a consumer protection nightmare. It's a windfall for corporations because they can just destroy any unions. They can destroy anything that bothers their bottom line. But this is like blockchain, decentralized, it's anti-establishment. No, it's not. It's only anti-establishment because it's so niche. That the writing's on the wall. It's scary, and I hope it fails, because if it gets accepted, it's decentralized, but it's open. It's like untrusted, right? It's decentralized, untrusted, it's open, it's transparent. Why are you going to put any personal information on that non-destructible platform? Crazy. Anyway, so he's going to go, he said, hold my beer, 15%, hold my beer. We'll go 33%, and goes from 15 to 20. Just a crazy amount. Nobody else is doing it. I think he wants to lead the charge into raising subscription prices, to be the trend line of inflation, of being the champion of overworked, underpaid gaming companies, to be up there. This is not fair that we haven't increased our prices, blah, blah, blah. And he's hoping to cash in on, be the leader, be finally the person in front, and garner all the articles and the interviews for leading the charge for us poor. Why are those darn people, whales, why aren't they paying more? They're getting off scot-free from paying their fair share. And you're like, Value added. We're going into the future. And yeah, there is going to be nothing in FanFest. I mean, you just read the schedule, and there's like, they are there are scheduled talks that are split off from the main keynote, and you're reading them, and it's like there is nothing that isn't like 10 years or a couple of years old. They're not talking about anything. Like, there should be stuff that are focused on at least something. But no, it's just going to be all smoke and mirrors. It's going to be all just crappy talking points that we got. We'd love your feedback on this, because going forward, we're going to have lots of stuff, and this is this, and it's just a bunch of shit thrown against the wall, just like November. It's going to be a desperate, last minute, oh God, we had all this NFT stuff, what are we going to do? Everybody quick, give all your half-built projects, and we're going to shove it at the customer base. That's what they're going to do. It's going to be a sulky, whiny bunch of CCP employees getting up there, being forced to use their NFT talking points and cut and paste whatever they've got project going on and talk about that in a sense of value added and play to earn. I mean, it's just they had all this set up. They got the rug pulled out from under them, like an NFT scam. And they're going to try to sell the shell of this NFT speeches they had all worked up with whatever half-assed stuff they had going on. And just look at this. Just look at this. The frustration that Hilmar must be feeling right now, So, lol. Yeah. I'm not going to go into it. You can just, I don't need to get fancier than this, do I? It's a cut and dried case. It's a cut and dried case. The CEO, who sold us this line of, hey, I'm sitting in front of my computer mining in a frigate, and I am just amazed at the player base using jet cans to do something we hadn't intended, blah, 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 blah. And my daughter's called Eve, blah, 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 blah. And we were like, wow, that's pretty cool. He's like in tune kind of with the game, what's happening. No, it's just freaking smoke and mirrors. He's never been that way. It's just a bullshit marketing lie. Yeah. And the toxic work environment is to be expected. I mean, you just watch CCP Rattati, how he acts. Just a yes man for Hilmar, and that's how the squeaky wheel, right? But yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it, that after all these years and all this focus on the null block, major fights, and the mission, hardcore mission, multi-boxing freaks, autists out there, that they haven't iterated on missions, and they haven't brought to fruition the promises they made 12 years ago about building the second leg of of the solution they had for people, jamming into a system and just not being able to connect and just lagging out and dying to those people who were able to load first, right? So yeah, it's just amazing that yes, they have those two focuses, right? But why aren't they iterating on that? Why aren't they iterating on the infrastructure? They might be iterating on, let's do something shiny, and it's like, that makes no sense. You might be focusing, but it's like, are you just sitting there focusing on it and looking at the metrics, going, you drool, and are you focusing on the skins for these PvE hardcore people? I mean, the sales of what? Are you just focused on Plex for injecting and what? It's just like, okay, let's focus on that. Let's hold CCP's feet to the fire because they're focused on these two things and hold them to that. Let's see if we can make them improve those two areas, because neither of those areas I'm interested in, but at least that's where their focus is, right? Why don't we focus on that? And I think that's the problem, isn't it? That it just shows how ADD these people are, and they're literally willing to let this game die based on what looks like just poor management, poor leadership. But it's not going to die anytime soon. I mean, look at Ultimate Online. It's still running. RuneScape, it's still running. How old is RuneScape? I mean, it's got to be so older than it might not be actually, because the internet was just, I mean, it could have came out at the same time. 2001, yeah, okay, yeah. So a couple of years, yeah, right around the time. So it's as old as CCP, yeah, I mean, all these things, like, when did World of Warcraft come out? When did it come out? 2004, right? So all these games, they all came out at the same time, because the internet, right? I mean, the .com era was 2001, right? Or 2000 or something. So it's like when was Ultimate Online? Ultimate Online came out, what, 96? 97, there you go. I played it back then, and there was people telling me I was at a cyber cafe saying, why don't you use a macro? And I'm like, but that's not playing the game. Why would I want to macro when it's not really playing the game? Build up your skills. But I mean, if so funny. Anyways, but yeah, I mean, isn't it still playing? It's still playing, right? So what's the population? Ultima Online population. What? Wow. 4K. It's pretty funny. It's still active. Per day. Wow. Yeah, I guess server costs are so cheap now. Back in the day, Jumpgate had to close because I'm sure the server costs back then were phenomenal, right, compared to today. And that's what blows me away about the subscription increase for both RuneScape and CCP. He jumped on that bandwagon, probably trying to lead the curve of going, oh, we're just going to 33%. We'll just make it outrageous so we get attention. It must be good because, if we do it this way, it'll be seen as we're improving the game. They must be increasing it for a reason, right? It's all this new content and all this really promise of the future, and it's like, lol, it's going to backfire. But yeah, I mean, just greed. Greed is good. Greed is good. It's the Ripper Tag this is an interesting little bit from Ripper Tag during his Ask Me Anything thing 3 years ago. It was interesting. It was like, wow. So they actually had people there who were smart enough to make this really cool. It's like This Is Eve.
Contacts, hostile capital ships inbound.
It's just like This Is Eve, but kind of like a not all over the place kind of thing, generalized thing, but actual focusing on a fictitious nullsec battle. It's really cool, actually. I like it a lot. I'll link it, of course. But yeah, Yeah, it's worth your time if you want it. If you've got spare time, just watch it. It's just mind blowing. Sorry about the web scrolling. Yeah, where is it? Right here. I'll leave you with this, and this is what I think is inflicting CCP from the leadership and the lack of leadership.
I think the problem with people like this is that they are so stupid that they have no idea how stupid they are. You see, if you're very, very stupid, how can you possibly realize that you're very, very stupid? You'd have to be relatively intelligent to realize how stupid you are. There's a wonderful bit of research by a guy called David Dunning at Cornell, who's a friend of mine, I'm proud to say, who's pointed out that in order to know how good you are at something requires exactly the same skills as it does to be good at that thing in the first place, which means, and this is terribly funny, that if you're absolutely no good at something at all, then you lack exactly the skills that you need to know that you're absolutely no good at it. And this explains not just Hollywood, but almost the
entirety of CCP.